Hello there, I'm Dejan and welcome to a new video. So, still in Birmingham, tournament starts tomorrow. In this video, we're gonna discuss the 3 traits to be a better Tekken player. First of all, thank you so much to all your support, guys. We broke it over 500 and seeing all you congratulating to me, it was heartwarming. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And still, if you're here once more and you haven't subscribed yet, please just consider it's just a click it there, and that's it. If you're watching my video today, you know you might watch one of my video tomorrow, you might as well subscribe. I don't need the bell, I don't want to bother you with the notifications, okay? Just watch it. If you like my stuff anyway, it's gonna pop in your YouTube home anyway. So please, please, please consider subscribing. Anyway, what are the 3 ways to make you a better Tekken player? These 3 points that I'm gonna try to analyze now precisely, they don't correspond to more technical things. It's not about practice 5 hours a day, learn to Korea backdash. It's nothing all that stuff. This stuff does not require practice, at least physical practice. It's not execution related, it's not knowledge related, it's more personal. Okay, these are 3 big mistakes that have a massive impact on your gameplay. Massive. They make you lose at least 2 ranks on the average. Easy. And all of us can work on this. I was horrible on all of these 3 points until, I would say, a month ago. I was awful at this. And I started, especially the last one, I started to understand it in the recent times. And I still struggle with it. But let's jump into it. So the first one, do not autopilot. We all know this, but what does it mean? So in Tekken, there are a lot of characters. And rather than deciding what every character does so we know how to counterplay, we pick one character, which is our main, and we know how to pilot it. What does it mean to pilot it? We know which are his key moves and when to use them, when to use when we are at distance, what to use when we are up close, how to do the combos, what are his basic punches. We learn all these things. And once we have all this setup of tools, with experience, we understand where to basically place these little moves and tools and how to use them. What happens after a while that you play the same character? You do the same routines. And you do the same routines. And this is for everyone. Me included. I am the same. It's like, let's put it like this. I'll make an instance with Brian. Brian has 2 great approaching tools. Being back 1, which is his elbow, which moves it's 20 frame, but he moves forward a lot. And his infamous hatchet kick. Okay, so mid and a low. It's the basic mix-up. That's hatchet kick is the only quarter circle back 3 is the only low that Brian has, really. What happens is, for me, for instance, what used to happen is that I will do a classic sequence of moves that my opponent were mid eyes and my opponent will usually block them. And after that, I will do neutral pose into hatchet. And it was always like this. And in my mind, I was like, how can he block it all the time? How can he know? It's like, well, of course he knows. It's the only thing I'm doing. I'm just doing always the same moves. So learn to stop autopiloting, and even worse, learn to stop mashing. If you're playing a character like Warren, or if you're playing a character like like Victor, like Eddie, like these very string-heavy characters, Reina as well is one of those you could put. String-heavy characters that allows you to make a lot of things happening while you press button. But you notice you're always getting countered, you're always getting punished, Stop doing that. Stop doing that, because if you do always the same, if you autopilot, you tend to do always the same sequence, and then you tend to become predictable. And when you get predictable, you get punished. When you get very predictable, you get launch punished, which in this game is 50 to 60% of the health bar. So stop to autopilot. What to do instead? And we get to the second point here, and we connect. Analyze your opponent. We all can do this. And for this, the best instance is Warring. In the past, I said one thing. Tekken is not a game of action, it's a game of reaction. And here is where the point 1 and 2 connect to each other. You need to understand that I understand, and I know that sometimes feels impossible. Sometimes it feels just like, no, there is no way. There is almost always a way. There is a way. But don't try to only predict what your opponent does. Analyze what he does at the beginning, especially in the first round, the first 2 rounds. Try to analyze and then start to apply your buttons based on the information that you gathered. And as I said, Warren, in my opinion, is the perfect instance for this. And I started to pick this up recently. So Warren players are the best instance for point 1 about autopiloting, and are the best instance about applying point 2, which is analyze your opponent and react. So Warren players are probably the best autopilot there is in the game. They are Flight Simulator X in ultra graphic mode. They just go on, not all of them, but they start, they go home with their pressure, and they just don't stop. Because this is the nature of the character. The character wants to apply pressure on you. He wants to get close, and then he starts to pressure you a lot. Okay? You're gonna notice that most of the war ranks, not all of them, I'm not saying all of them, most of the war ranks, they all do different things. But at the same time, every war rank does the same things. So war rank A is gonna do his sequence, and he's gonna then eventually, when you in the next round, when he's gonna represent in that situation, when he's just approaching, he started his down 3-4, and he starts with starts his oppression, he's gonna do this exact same sequence. And you're gonna notice that a lot of time. Pay attention to this. They're gonna do it. War rank B is gonna do different sequence, but it's gonna repeat that different sequence. Okay, it's not a rule. This is not mandatory. Especially if they're good, after you pick it up and you punish them, they're gonna try to change it. Hopefully for them. But this is the best instance that you can try to approach and apply to start to react to your opponent. Because I started to do it myself, and my war rank match play experience changed so much. So much. I try to understand when my opponent is gonna do his mid into high. I spot that. Okay, I analyze that, gather information. I know he's gonna do a game mid high. He goes for the high, duck, while standing 3, counter launch, because anyway they're always pressing. Boom, alpha million damage. Another great instance is, I would like to say demon pose, but demon pose are very hard to sidestep. Let's say Lydia. Everyone played against Lydia now. Her approaching tools. Forward 2, running 1. Both very sidesteppable. Okay? If you start to analyze the timing of your opponent, and you put them in the distance where you know they're gonna thinking about, okay, now is time of 4-4-2 or Y running 2. Or Y running 1, sorry. Once you put them in the situation and you analyze them a couple of times doing that, it's about you. Be ready to time properly the style step and then launch. That's when you are when you start to get to these things and you do them on a cold mindset, when you plan them and they work, that is when you're stepping forward in your Tekken. Okay, and this cold mind setup is exactly, and it connects perfectly to our third point to improve your Tekken. Be cold-minded, and this is the worst. This is the most difficult in this game. It's so difficult sometimes, especially against certain characters. But all of these things, they are connected and they don't work. And that's why I think these 3 points are a perfect triangle. They literally connect each other perfectly. If you are not cold-minded, if you are not thinking, if you don't keep your cool, you're just gonna play worse. And you're gonna spiral down. It happened to everyone. It happens to me all the time. All the time. The most recent bad spirals I had, 2 months ago, I hate Tekken King. My prowess skyrockets, I told this story 1,000 times. My prowess skyrockets and I start to get very hard matchups, fine. And I start coaching, so I changed completely my gameplay and I was readapting to something that I wasn't able to do properly. I go back to Flame Ruler, okay? King, Bushin, Kishin, Raijin, Fujin, Battle Ruler, Flame Ruler. That's 6 ranks, guys. 6. Now, I know, and I would say up to Fujin, it was because me being relearning Tekken on a different perspective and being in a harder matchup situation. But going back to Battle Ruler, going back to Flame Ruler, it wasn't those 2 reasons. It was all on me. It was all on me, not understanding when to stop and just keep on playing, even if I was very heated up, even if I wasn't in the cool mindset to analyze and do any of those things. Because as soon as you lose your cool, the first 2 things are gone. You autopilot, you don't analyze, and you just think, how can I keep on losing? And you notice and think about this. Think, when you say this sentence, think, am I thinking about what my opponent is doing? How did my opponent beat me until now? And you will notice, you don't even know what he tried to do against you. You don't even know which patterns connect against you. You will just thinking about how to attack, how to attack, how to attack. And that's how you lose the game. So that's why, in my opinion, these 3 points are fundamentals that everyone should have if he wants to achieve high levels. And I mean serious high levels, okay? That's what you're going to do. You want to get solid and you want to stay in gold ranks. So you want to get higher in gold ranks, no? You want to get to Tekken King and you want to go back to Tekken King after you lose, and then you want to go to Emperor, you want to go to Tekken God. Those 3 are mandatory things you need to do and you need to have in these ranks. And you need to have, if you play certain characters, even in blue ranks, because I want to see you to get past blue rank, if you cannot have these 3 things with, I don't know, Brian, I don't want to say Brian because it's my character, but I challenge you guys to do with Brian those things. We like to just go to Tekken Emperor with Brian, to Tekken King even just with Brian, and stay on going back to Tekken King, stay there. Or with Steve, or with Mishima's, there is no Jin, like with all these very high characters, with Heihachi probably when he comes out. I really want to see you. I really want to see people doing this. And trust me when I tell you that to explain these things, you don't need to be a Tekken God Master, I'm a Tekken God Prime, or whatever, it's God of Destruction. That's, they are there to explain the technical shit. But this stuff, it can be applied at any level. This stuff, you're a green rank, you cannot go over your rank, you can use these tools. This is just on you to apply, because this is you working on yourself and understanding how you're basically not being cold, how just not focusing on the game, and how you're just not trying to react to the game just doesn't bring you any benefit. Anyway, this one should have been a very short one and it's getting long as usual. Thank you so much for stopping by, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know which one of the 3 you struggle the most. Honestly, I'm very curious about it. About that, stay tuned. My vlog / VS fighting video is gonna be kind of celebration as well for the 500 subscribers. It's gonna be a bit something a bit bigger, and that's it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Ciao!